Welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. We'll begin in 2 minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. As always, I am your host, Fearless Floyd. And as I prepare for my speaking engagement on August 10th, Sunday, at the Sky Pony Gallery in Plano, Texas, I'm putting together information about artificial intelligence, digital twins, etc., etc. In part of that, I put this little show together tonight just to show you where artificial intelligence is going, because most people, okay, have no comprehension. They're all playing with the interface public artificial intelligence like Grok, Chat GPT, Claude, etc., etc. Okay, so basically what those free artificial intelligence do is, they scrape the internet for information. Sometimes they dig deeper into databases to provide information, but for the most part, they're like a dictionary or encyclopedia. They're only as good as the information that they have access to. But there's many other different kinds of artificial intelligence out there that you're not aware of, that are in play, exist today. Some of them are, they learn by visualizations, some programs, some algorithms, etc., etc. So what I'm going to cover on this show is about organoids, which are biocomputers made out of human brain cells. Now, this is, the infancy. So imagine, back when you were in school and you learned about, how bacteria became the evolution of the world in a petri dish, right? Kind of the same analogy. But it is growing. It's going to grow even more, and it's my opinion. Okay, this is all my opinion. This is from my own research. What I see coming, that eventually the interface is not going to be as demarcated between a machine and a biological entity, whatever that looks like, whether it's a brain, an organ, a body, doesn't matter, and a machine, whatever that looks like, whether it's a chip, a bot, it can be anything, okay? That those are going to assimilate and meld into one single organism. And that's kind of what this video is about, that you're going to hear basically the cutting edge forefront of this technology that's available in the public. Okay. And I always preface that in the public because this same research is going on behind the scenes, down in the dumbs and other places where we aren't privy to getting that type of information in the public. But this is what's publicly available. So I always tell people 20 to 50 years in advance, this technology has probably been utilized by our government, military industrial complexes, big pharma, big ag, big finance, you name it. Okay. It just depends on what it is. So don't think for a minute that, Jamie Dimon over at Chase Manhattan Bank is not all in on artificial intelligence. They were like one of the first ones in it. So it doesn't matter what category. Artificial intelligence is going to rule the world. And you've heard it from me first, okay? Artificial intelligence, an all-seeing eye, an AI, get it? An all-seeing capital I, is the new world order. One religion, one currency, one government, all controlled by AI. Got your central bank digital currency, your one world religion, where they morph everybody into one big conglomerate. And then, of course, the one world government, which will be controlled by AI. What does that look like? I have no idea. But let me be the first to tell you, okay? They're not throwing millions at AI. They're not throwing billions at AI. They're not throwing 100 billion, 200 billion, 500 billion, not even a trillion. Okay. They are throwing tens of trillions of dollars at AI. Mark Zuckerberg, $100 million signing bonus for poached engineers from other AI entities like ChatGPT or Grok or Claude. $100 million signing bonus. Come over here, contract with us, work for us. We're going to give you $100 million up front. That doesn't include your salary. Some people would call entities like Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Ellison, Elon Musk, megalomaniacs because they have just so much money that they are just detached from reality. So if they're creating AI, what do you think that their motives will be for mankind, humankind? Obviously, they're building underground bunkers, multi-million-dollar underground bunkers. I wonder why. What do they think's coming? But we're going to dive in. I already pre-recorded this video. I was going to do a pre-record, but I said, yeah, you know what? I haven't done a live video in quite a minute. So I'm going to come over here and do a live video for you guys. So let me kick up the banner down here. It's got all the information. Before I do that, well, let me go get it this way. That way it'll stick. I told you I had an external hard drive deal, and So I got things everywhere for a minute. Here we go. All right, I'm going to remove myself. This is the advertisements for Noel Benoist and myself. We will both be at the Sky Pony Gallery on August 9th and August 10th. Noel will be there. This will be his first public presentation since he wrote the 200-year plan with Ted Gunderson, as far as I know of. But this is going to be a precursor to an event he's negotiating. I'm not negotiating it to be the featured keynote speaker in October. So I decided to set this up for him, give him a platform to come prepare. And he will be speaking from 3 to 5. And with Noel, that could bleed over. But from 5 to 7, we will have a book signing, meet and greet, et cetera, et cetera. And then the following Sunday, I will be speaking from 1 to 3 on digital DNA and artificial intelligence. And then from 3 to 5, book signing, meet and greet, answer your questions, whatever. Noel will also be there for both days. So get a chance to make it up to Plano, Texas. That is North Dallas. On the 9th and 10th of August, I will be there with Noel Benoist to be a chance to meet a man in black, get your picture taken with him, etc., etc. So I look forward to doing that, and I am putting that presentation together. It's it's interesting digging up all this information about artificial intelligence and robotics and digital twins, et cetera, et cetera. So let me get this ready for you guys. And I'm calling it Operation Warp Speed 2. Obviously,
artificial intelligence is here to stay, and you should know what artificial intelligence will become. First, the fundamentals. Organoid intelligence. From Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. Human brain organoid. Organoid intelligence, OI, action plan and research trajectories. Organoid intelligence, OI, is an emerging field of study in computer science and biology that develops and studies biological wetware computing using 3D cultures of human brain cells, or brain organoids, and brain-machine interface technologies. Such technologies may be referred to as OIs. Organoid intelligent computer systems can be an example of biohybrid systems. Differences with non-organic computing. As opposed to traditional non-organic silicon-based approaches, OI seeks to use lab-grown cerebral organoids to serve as biological hardware.
of course. There we go. I'm back. I apologize for that. I don't know why it's doing that. I'm hardwired straight to my router, like 4 feet away. Have my router moved, so I don't know why it does that. That's a trip. But anyway, they're always playing with me. So let me get this queued up for you guys. It almost just completely started over. Again, I do apologize for that.
Artificial intelligence is here to stay, and you should know what artificial intelligence will become. First, the fundamentals. Organoid intelligence. From Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. Human brain organoid. Organoid intelligence, OI, action plan and research trajectories. Organoid intelligence, OI, is an emerging field of study in computer science and biology that develops and studies biological wetware computing using 3D cultures of human brain cells, or brain organoids, and brain-machine interface technologies. Such technologies may be referred to as OIs. Organoid intelligent computer systems can be an example of biohybrid systems. Differences with non-organic computing. As opposed to traditional non-organic silicon-based approaches, OI seeks to use lab-grown cerebral organoids to serve as biological hardware. Scientists hope that such organoids can provide faster, more efficient, and more powerful computing power than regular silicon-based computing and AI, while requiring only a fraction of the energy. However, while these structures are still far from being able to think like a regular human brain and do not yet possess strong computing capabilities, OI research currently offers the potential to improve the understanding of brain development, learning, and memory, potentially finding treatments for neurological disorders such as dementia. Thomas Hartung, a professor from Johns Hopkins University, argues that while silicon-based computers are certainly better with numbers, brains are better at learning. Furthermore, he claimed that with superior learning and storing capabilities than AIs, being more energy efficient, and that in the future, it might not be possible to add more transistors to a single computer chip. While brains are wired differently and have more potential for storage and computing power, OIs can potentially harness more power than current computers. Some researchers claim that even though human brains are slower than machines at processing simple information, they are far better at processing complex information, as brains can deal with fewer and more uncertain data, perform both sequential and parallel processing, being highly heterogeneous, use incomplete datasets, and is said to outperform non-organic machines in decision-making. Training OIs involve the process of biological learning, BL, as opposed to machine learning, ML, for AIs. BL is said to be much more energy efficient than ML. Bioinformatics in OI. OI generates complex biological data, necessitating sophisticated methods for and analysis. Bioinformatics provides the tools and techniques to decipher raw data, uncovering the patterns and insights. A Python interface is currently available for processing and interaction with brain organoids. Intended functions. Brain-inspired computing hardware aims to emulate the structure and working principles of the brain, and could be used to address current limitations in artificial intelligence technologies. However, brain-inspired silicon chips are still limited in their ability to fully mimic brain function, as most examples are built on digital electronic principles. One study performed OI computation, which they termed BrainAware, by sending and receiving information from the brain organoid using a high-density multi-electrode array. By applying spatiotemporal electrical stimulation, nonlinear dynamics, and fading memory properties, as well as unsupervised learning from training data by reshaping the organoid functional connectivity. The study showed the potential of this technology by using it for speech recognition and nonlinear equation prediction in a reservoir computing framework. Ethical concerns. While researchers are hoping to use OI and biological computing to complement traditional silicon-based computing, there are also questions about the ethics of such an approach. Examples of such ethical issues include OIs gaining consciousness and sentience as organoids and the question of the relationship between a stem cell donor for growing the organoid and the respective OI system. Enforced amnesia and limits on duration of operation without memory reset have been proposed as a way to mitigate the potential risk of silent suffering in brain organoids. Lastly, what are the scientists, biologists, ethicists, bioethicists, researchers, hobbyists, enthusiasts, and those for nefarious purposes? Scientists want to build living computers powered by live brain cells. Cells. The potential for these kinds of machines to reshape computer processing, increase energy efficiency, and revolutionize medical testing has scientists excited. July 2025. By Shubham Agarwal. https://www.nationalgeographic.com/science/articles/brain-cells-organoids-computers-AI-energy. The potential for these kinds of machines to reshape computer processing, increase energy efficiency, and revolutionize medical testing has scientists excited. But when do we consider these cells to be conscious? A computer chip within which 4 sections of brain cells have been embedded. Scientists are experimenting with ways to integrate brain cells into computer processors. The technology could help conserve energy. Final Spark's multi-electrode arrays, MUSHPUPPIES, incorporate 4 human brain organoids, each interfacing with 8 electrodes. In 2022, a group of Australian researchers ran a rudimentary simulation of the arcade game, Pong. None of them were controlling the virtual paddle, and yet, after a few misses, the paddle moved up and down the screen on its own to meet the returning ball. The 2D game was wired to a cluster of lab-grown human and mouse brain cells growing on a petri dish. Through a multi-electrode array, the researchers taught the mini-brain where the ball was and rewarded it with electrical stimulation when there was a hit. In about 5 minutes, the cells learned the drill and played short rallies without human intervention. The recent success of LLMs, large language models, has risen from trying to model processes that happen in the brain, says Brett Kagan, the chief scientific officer at Cortical Labs, a startup spun out of the Pong research. I often like to say, any sufficiently advanced machine is indistinguishable from biology. So what if we used biology in our attempts to harness intelligence? The Pong experiment proved neurons can learn and respond to feedback in real time, even in a petri dish, says Lena Smirnova, assistant professor at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. A year later in 2023, Smirnova, alongside other researchers, laid out the vision for organoid intelligence, an emerging scientific field that leverages the strengths of living human and animal brain cell cultures, learning from fewer examples, adapting in real time, and efficiently using energy as a new type of biological computer. Using brain cells as the processing hub of a computer has far-reaching implications. It could significantly reduce the amount of energy needed to power artificial intelligence and revolutionize medicine. The technology is already creating a lucrative new industry that scientists are leveraging for major breakthroughs. But with this booming sector come complicated questions about when consciousness begins and the ethical implications of using living tissue that can feel pain. How these living computers work. The devices we use today, from computers to phones, run on chips, where billions of little components called transistors are neatly etched in silicon and arranged into logic gates. Each chip can take up to a couple of bits as input and then shuttle forward a single bit output. Combining numerous such gates makes it possible to execute complex operations, such as those used in modern AI chatbots. However, units of brain organoids, known as bioprocessors, function in tandem with a traditional silicon chip. Inside each organoid, endless neurons grow in 3 dimensions, forming connections through synapses. Because there's no fixed wiring to limit them, the network constantly self-organizes and evolves as it learns. Neurons can simultaneously transfer information by electrical pulses and chemical signals, as opposed to the rigid, step-by-step logic of a normal computer. It's more like an ever-adapting web than a tidy circuit board at Smirnova. Not only is the human brain naturally adaptive, but it's also incredibly energy efficient. Training a generative AI model like OpenAI's GPT-3, for example, is estimated to consume just under 1,300 megawatt hours of electricity, as much power as used by 130 US homes. The brain needs a fraction of that and requires no more energy than a common light bulb to perform a comparable task. Data from the Johns Hopkins research suggests biocomputing could cut down AI energy consumption by 1 million to 10 billion times. The development of large organoids for power-efficient neural networks could help with running complex deep learning models without significantly impacting climate change, Ben Ward-Cherrier, a computational neuroscience researcher at the University of Bristol, told National Geographic. How bioprocessors are already being used. It's no longer an experimental pipe dream either. A cottage industry of startups has raced to commercially build what some colloquially call a living computer. Swiss-based Final Spark's Neuro platform, for example, lets anyone remotely run experiments on a cluster of organoids for $1,000 per month. Its facility incubates thousands of processing units, where each organoid is connected to 8 electrodes plugged into a conventional computer. Using Final Spark software, researchers can code programs to electrically stimulate the neurons, monitor their response, and expose them to the feel-good neurotransmitters dopamine and serotonin to train them to perform computing tasks. In addition to renting out its biological computers over the cloud, Cortical Labs also began selling its bioprocessing units earlier this year for $35,000 each. The units look like devices out of a sci-fi movie. A large glass and metal container houses all the support systems, from waste filtration to temperature control, needed to keep human brain cells alive for up to 6 months. Over the last couple of years, researchers have taken advantage of these privately run biological computers to test breakthroughs. The University of Bristol's Ward-Cherrier, for instance, integrates organoids into robots as their brain, so they can learn on the go. His team used Neuroplatform's organoids to develop a system that reads Braille characters at 83% accuracy. Each letter's spatial information is encoded into specific electrical pulses, which the neurons can identify. Soon, Ward-Cherrier's team plans to use organoids to teach robots to execute motor commands based on specific events and situations, such as feeling an object and following its contour with a robotic arm. The skill could one day help a robot understand what it's interacting with. For now, living brain cell computers are far from replacing your laptop's processor. For one, the brain cells deployed in computer circuits are in their infancy and remain immature, fetal-like in both biological structure and behavior. They lack the structured architecture of a mature human brain, which prevents them from performing advanced cognitive feats. In their current state, organoids can be taught in simpler ways, such as learning rudimentary tasks when stimulated and exhibiting rudimentary memory functions. Plus, no two organoids behave the same way, and keeping them alive for extended periods remains a challenge. Smirnova agrees that cellular computers aren't close to the level of reliability or scale needed for mainstream computing tasks. Yet being immature allows these networks to be flexible, which is ideal for research. A safer and more humane way to test drugs. For the foreseeable future, Smirnova says, she and her research team will continue using organoids to better understand and treat neurological conditions. While organoids may not be advanced enough to compute complex information, they're becoming a more feasible and humane way to test drugs. Researchers may soon be able to grow an organoid from a patient's stem cells and test how a particular drug affects their specific neurons, or screen a library of chemicals to check for neurotoxic effects, all without involving animals. Kyle Wedgwood, a professor at the University of Exeter's Living Systems Institute, is doing just that. He's leveraging Final Spark's neural platform to figure out ways to restore the brain's memory after it's disrupted by diseases such as Alzheimer's. This work will lay down foundations for smart, implantable biotechnology to help mitigate neurodegenerative conditions, adds Wedgwood. When do organoids become organs? As these lab-grown mini-brains become more complex, scientists are also probing questions about when they enter the realm of consciousness and the ethics of activating their pain receptors. Smirnova isn't waiting for an organoid to show even a hint of consciousness, and has begun work to place frameworks, similar to those enforced in animal research, in place, with review boards and protocols to prevent suffering. In practice, this could mean setting limits on an organoid's age, what kind of experiments can be conducted on them, how cells are sourced and produced, and in case they come from a human, using them more responsibly and with donor consent. The bottom line is that we're proceeding with a lot of care and thoughtfulness, well before anything like a sentient brain tissue could ever become a reality, adds Smirnova. Thank you for watching, and I sincerely desire this video educated you for a future unlike we could ever imagine. Please like, subscribe, share, get notified, and leave a comment below about biocomputing.
I'm trying to get there. Wow. That's crazy. There we All I can do is laugh. I don't know. I don't know who's playing games with me. I don't know if it's StreamYard or what, but trust me, I have the newest Xfinity Comcast router that has the new Wi-Fi motion in it, echolocator, and it is like it's frying me. It's so close, and still bad connection. That's even with a direct hardwire. So y'all figure it out yourselves. Oh, looks like I got a comment over here. Hey, Lee. I'm not sure what to comment can top that. Lee, you haven't seen anything yet. I'm diving down this rabbit hole. I think this is the most important rabbit hole there is. You know, forget about all the conspiracy, Q, Epstein, Trump, Iran, Israel. That's all theatrics. That's all look over here shit. While meanwhile, Operation Warp Speed 2 is full speed ahead, and nothing's going to stop it because, as I produced in my earlier video, and I'm paraphrasing, but I'm almost on point. and I'm quoting Trump, it's the policy of the United States of America that we will reign supreme over the world in artificial intelligence. Nothing's going to stop them from being number one. Why? Because, think about this. Whichever megalomaniac, egotistical, narcissistic, gazillionaire, okay, these people live like in a completely different reality than we do. I've been around, I've met billionaires. Okay. These folks are like, they have no comprehension. They're going to make it no matter what, because they can afford to do it. You protected your DNA. Yeah. This is where it is getting down. Denmark allowed its citizens to copyright their image due to facial recognition. You heard me right. Okay. This is what's coming, folks. But I'm going to explain all this to you, how all this works, how all of it is congealed into these smart devices that we use constantly, every day. Your smartphone, your laptop, your little bullshit boat anchor iPad that they refuse to update the software on. So these just become a picture frame, That's basically all they're good for. I like to keep it to remind me, never purchase an Apple product. Why? Because they will not support their own products. I mean, it's a great business model if you can brainwash your people into continuously buying your products over and over and over just to upgrade instead of just upgrading your software. So that's why I keep that. Boat anchor iPad. Absolutely, Leah. It's I used to have it up here, and it give me a slideshow of pictures of stuff, and that's basically all it's good for. So that's what I think of Apple products. Even though I do have some, iPods that I do use. But this is the evolution of mankind. People are going to surrender their humanity for convenience. And the children born from 2020 on, they're going to be all digital children. Okay. They're not going to know how to drive. Okay. Car keys are not going to exist anymore. Everything's going to be automated. They're not going to know how to drive. You put them in a manual stick shift. They're going to be like, what? They're going to look at an analog clock, not be able to tell the time. They're not going to be able to read and write cursive. Complicated math problems. Yeah. Why? I just talked to my watch. My watch is going to tell me what this is. That's going to be the new digital age. Social credit scores. They're going to make you behave. I haven't even got into the whole bot technology. But if you come listen to me up there in Plano, I'm going to talk about all of this. I'm going to break it down, go like blah, 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 and show you exactly where we're dovetailing. And eventually, the whole world's going to be run by AI. And there's going to be very few ways you're going to be able to escape the matrix. And listen, I don't care if you buy the trust book from me or if you go to ChatGPT or Grok to create your trust, which people are doing. Okay. I can see it in sales. No big deal. I'm not tripping. But you should protect yourself. You should get ready for everything that's coming down. You need to get out of the matrix. You need to be private. You need to be anonymous. You need to go establish yourself in a different reality, because right now You're being tracked 24/7, 365. Everything you do, say, touch, it's documented. It's documented. Give you a quick example. Vizio televisions. They sold 11 million televisions. 11 million. Okay. Let's do some math here real quick. I'm just going to show you. 11 million. Well, they got popped because their televisions were recording data from the purchasers of those Vizio televisions. And Vizio was selling that data from anywhere from $5 to $35 per customer. Do the math. Let's see. 11 million times $5, 11 million times $35. Whoo. And that's every month. Every month. You heard me, a month. So let's just go 55 million every month. Well, they got popped, like I said, and had to go face, our federal government. And what do you think our federal government did? Do you think they made them stop? Well, of course, they, settled for a fine. Roughly a little over $4 million total to settle, spying on 11 million customers and selling their information for a minimum at $5 every month. So what's preventing them from doing it again and doing it every day? If they're going to make, 55 times 12? That's what? $600 million? They're going to have to pay $4? Man, let's do that business plan every day. So always remember, the biggest number one spy device in your house is your television and that remote control that goes with it that has that little button you push for the microphone that's always on. Okay? There's no on and off for that microphone. There's a button that acknowledges that you just turned it on. No, your TV's now accessing it, but it's always on. It's always sending data. So every app you have on your TV, every app you have on your phone, okay, and every router that surrounds your house, apartment, condo, townhouse, residence, that you can open your settings and go, oh, look at that router. I wish I had the password. I just log in. Oh, no. They're talking. They're sending your data to that router, to all those apps. So if they've got Facebook, you've got Facebook. It's a seamless transition. Geolocating, digital DNA, your digital twin in real time, 24/7, 365. Eventually, that's going to meld into a digital reality. What that looks like, man, it's going to be interesting. What you got, Mr. Furley? Best anti-theft device is a manual transmission. Yeah. Depends on your thieves. Your street thieves, yeah, probably you got them. Your high-end thieves looking for specialty cars, yeah, they're going to be able to drive transmission like bat out of hell. Y'all listen. Please listen. Humanity has no idea what's coming. Zero. Most people, they're caught up in the bullshit. They're either still stuck in mainstream media, being programmed, institutionalized, brainwashed, in a cult. They're either over here on the right side or the left side, or they've just said, we don't even want none of that. Now they're getting all this shit from social media like YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, X, whatever. And some of those people, now they're taking sides. Oh, they're not so MAGA anymore. Oh, they're kind of anti-Trump. Which way do I lean? Where do I go? Where do I go to fit in? Well, you need to educate yourself on what the fuck is coming, because when it comes, it's going to come like the floods did in Central Texas. I think they said it was some ridiculous amount, like 28 billion gallons of water in 24 hours. Ridiculous amount. That's what it's going to come. And it's going to hit everybody like a tidal wave. There's nothing anybody can do about it unless you start taking precautions now. That's why I tell everybody, you start building your defense now. Your city's not going to save you. Your town's not going to save you. Your county, your parish, your state, obviously your federal government's not going to save you. You think the UN's going to come save you? No. You need to save yourself. You need to get educated. That's the only thing I can keep telling everybody. Educate yourself, educate yourself, educate yourself. That's why I'm digging into AI, because the AI is the next revolution. It is the next big bubble, whatever you want to call it. Remember when the World Wide Web came out, people were buying URLs, web addresses, and selling web addresses because the internet was the big thing? Then it was crypto. Here we are to the next revolution. And documented, they are throwing trillions of dollars at this, folks. Okay. It's not billions, trillions of dollars. This is going to be a 5 to 10, maybe even more $trillion industry in the next decade. It will be the number one industry in the world, AI. It will cover so many different aspects of our lives: medical, finance, legal, social, medical, pharmacological. I need to call my daughter on that one. But it's going to cover so many aspects of your life. Imagine having a central bank digital currency, and they're talking about this right now. And that's what part of the Genius Act was, so they can bring this central bank digital currency in and then put all these long-term treasury bonds in there, and boom, that's how they're going to save the Ponzi scheme, the house of cards that we've currently have a world economic structure financed upon, because it's financed. We're financing the world's reserve currency through the Federal Reserve Bank. Federal Reserve Bank. Yeah. You remember when everybody was talking about, oh, it's going to get assimilated into into the U.S. Treasury, and the Treasury's moving to, where'd they say? Tyler, Texas? Or Reno, Nevada? Oh, they're doing a what? A $2 billion plus renovation of the Federal Reserve Bank? Why? If it's going away. Oh, it's not going away. Don't you think Trump would have said something when he handed Jerome Powell the sheet that said, oh, it's 2.3 with cost overruns? And he was like, what? I heard that. This is the chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank, the top dog, where, hey, the buck stops here, that guy. It's all a big show. If you're not prepared for what's coming, happy trails to you, man. God bless you. That's all I can say. It's coming. There's too many people that there's too much money involved, too much power, too much authority. Just think about it. Larry Ellison, 1/3 of Stargate AI project, Stargate LLC, with Sam Altman and Moyoshi Son, SoftBank. Those are the three main partners. What does Larry Ellison want to do? He wants to create personalized, gene-edited, biospecific vaccines to possibly remediate critical ailments. Boy, I hope I danced around that, right? Thank you, YouTube. And no two will be alike. So whatever personalized gene edited biomedicine is made for specifically for me will only work for me. It won't work on my daughter. It won't work on my mother. It won't work on my father. Only me. And how it's going to work is it's going to have some type of synthetic or complementary DNA pre-programmed to assimilate into my biological DNA and turn me into a genetically modified organism. And I know you're going, Floyd, come on, man. That's real futuristic, right? Nah, it hadn't been done yet. They'll never do that. They've already done it. Yes, they've already done it. So we've already crossed the Rubicon. The bell's been rung. The milk's been spilled. We're on our way. What I'm trying to do is lay a foundation for you so you can become educated and understand exactly how you need to move, where you need to duck, where you need to dodge, how to set yourself up to protect yourself from this, because it's coming whether you like it or not. It's just the evolution. If you don't think that there have been many, many, many different civilizations established on this earth that have been catastrophically decimated, I'm not going to say completely wiped off, but decimated, because we don't have any facts. But obviously there have been civilizations here before. All you have to do is just go, look at the pyramids and look at these structures and look at some of these, Angkor Wat in Cambodia. Go look at that. They carved that with what? Stones, copper tools, brass tools, bronze tools. That's what academia wants you to believe. And you should go look at some of these solid granite bowls and vases that are in Egypt and all over the Middle East. And they're in these museums that we cannot produce today. We don't have that technology. They're so thin, almost harmonically perfect. This is what AI is going to take us into. We may be just another civilization headed for the ashes of history on Earth. If you're somebody that has control $200-300 billion, okay, where there's nothing on this planet that you cannot go purchase. Nothing. Imagine what you would do for $100 million. What would you do for $100 million? Mark Zuckerberg's throwing $100 million at people like spitwads in the back of the classroom. I got him. Let's see if he'll correspond and reply. There's another one. I mean, for these people just to go out and have a good time, they buy a $330 million yacht. That's why I said they're in a whole different place, whole different aspect, a whole different reality. They don't know you. They don't care about you. They don't know me. They don't care about me. And I have to look at it like that. I have to look at it like nobody cares about me but me. And I need to take care of myself to protect myself from what I believe I see coming through my own research. And I'm not done. I'm going to keep digging and digging and digging and see where this goes and see who's the movers and shakers and who wants to do what. Just went 6G. Yep, part of Kentucky. Yeah, we're moving on up. And listen, let me tell you, okay, I'm old enough to remember when they had cell phones in cars that you could order a car from the dealership and it came with a cell phone, or you had to go to an aftermarket and have it installed. And then when they came out with the big white Motorola bricks, the black antenna on top, stubby antenna. And then I remember when they came out with the StarTACs. And you know what they didn't have? Cell towers everywhere. Almost the same reception. Probably weren't as many people on that particular cellular network as there are today. But the point being, why are all these towers popping up everywhere, on top of churches, on top of buildings, empty lots? Landowners are subbing out part of their land to have these towers built on them. Yep. Yep. Actually, the property where Post Oak Club, AA, over on Long Point, where I attend, the guy next door, made a nice sweetheart deal, brother-in-law deal for Post Oak Club to move next door because he owns the property over there. And on his property, that's what he did. He leased it out. Cell tower, allegedly. All this is coming now. You start to see a lot of people passing away, cardiac arrest, blood clots, kind of ambiguous circumstances of their death. And, are we in that 3 to 5 year window that we were told about after? And remember, if you go look up femto technology, which is on the subatomic level, okay, that's right under pico, which is on the atomic level, which is right under nanotechnology, which is molecular. Femto technology does not exist, except if you go look up in the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Donald Wilsh, you'll find that femto technology does indeed exist and has been utilized, and there is a patent or two on it, but it doesn't exist. You have to do your research. You have to go see and keep digging and digging and digging to see what you'll find. That's why I said you can't believe and see and hear and listen to all this stuff and not be able to trust the source where it's coming from. I go dig. I read scientific papers. I read studies, theory, everything. And I'm just looking for the truth, whatever it is. And I see a scary future. I hate to say it, but I see Terminator. Imagine if, let's just say another country who doesn't like the United States, who has access to robotics and artificial intelligence, and they're creating an army of unitrees. Yeah, the robot, the humanoid androids that'll do side flips. Not only front flips, not only back flips, side flips. Creating an army of those. Nobody's prepared for that. Nobody's prepared for the AI takeover, and it's coming. Who governs AI in the United States of America? The U.S. Department of Commerce, folks. And due to the big, beautiful bill, no state has any regulatory authority over artificial intelligence for the next decade. That means it's only and solely controlled by the U.S. Department of Commerce. Just wonder if they want to assimilate everybody into AI and then, oh yeah, commercial products. That's what you do with patent products, right? You commercialize them, make money. Thank you, everybody. If you want to hear more, come see me. I'll be at the Sky Pony Gallery at Willow Bend Mall in Plano, Texas, August 10th, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Noel Benoit, Man in Black, NSA whistleblower, co-author with Ted Gunderson. He will speak on the 9th from 3 to 7 p.m. I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you learned something. That's all I want to do is just search for the truth and try to educate as many people as I can so we can all move forward. because somebody's going to have to hang around and repopulate this place and do it right the next time.